Here to remind you, you want the stress in your life.
Hey, daughters, we want the stress in our lives?
Yes, we want the stress in our lives. Welcome to the Juggle is Real,
A mom and daughter show.
episode
5.
So if you've listened to the last few episodes or watched, because we are on YouTube, we said that we would have the mother and daughter of what brought us to the show, the story behind like why we decided to launch this podcast, the show. But something happened, and as life likes to show us,
It's not linear.
it's not linear, right? And then it's something that I learned when I did my breathwork certification. So when I did my breathwork certification, I want to just share you the story that they went off of like the syllabus, right? And so when they went off the syllabus, a lot of us were like super jarred. Like we felt like we weren't going to get the right curriculum, what we paid for, right? And what was so profound in that moment was that the way that disruption of a expectation or of a schedule has shown me that you really want to speak to, bring to the topic that is present in the moment, right? The energy that is present in the moment. And so I understand that there is an expectation that wants to be met, but when things happen in this way, what we are saying is that the universe has our back. God has our back. And so, yes, we are going to have the mother and daughter on the show, but to go back to why we want the stress in our life goes back to a saying that I've learned from, yes, Dan Siegel, one of my most impactful mentors. And he shared a quote from this endocrinologist about when we are experiencing stress, it is our body's way of preparing for something significant, right? And so if we want a significant life, if we want a meaningful life, which we know we do, right? We kept on saying we are born to be these geniuses. We have these genius capabilities, capacities, but it is our experiences in the past that stop it, right? So why I feel so passionate about sharing this again about stress and about your anxiety that you shared is that you were showing your anxiety. Like when we recorded that episode about forgiveness, like hours later, you had an event, you had an experience where your anxiety surfaced. And what I wanted to share with you is that when we have anxiety, right? What I want you to know is that you are not an anxious person. You are experiencing in your body these symptoms, whether it's like your thoughts from things that happened to you in the past. So what I'd love for you to do is just share your story. So we finished recording that episode, 2 episodes of one social anxiety, and I was sharing with you the greatest thing is for you to know that these experiences that you had, that middle school social bullying experience, stays in your body, right? So so these things that come later in life, your body remembers like you being social bullied. So you've experienced what you say is you have social anxiety, right? But anxiety just comes through these experiences of you feeling fearful of something that has not happened, right? So I was giving her these tips. One, just be aware of it, and then have this vision and then start to forgive it. Just know that's your body's reaction. But here's the deal, because I know that you're 15 years old. I know you're still developing your brain and your mind. Sometimes, again, what happened is that you totally shut down from anything that we had shared and that you had learned. And then you went into what's called like this shutdown mode, right? About what? Share with the audience, what did you shut down about?
So there's an optional practice that I signed up for, but it's for my whole age group. And I was asking my teammates and friends if they were going, and they weren't. But the only people that were going were from the team above me, and it was just really stressful. Because they're so much better to me. I was to be the worst one there, and I didn't have a friend.
So I'm going to give a little context, okay, behind this. So deeper into the story is Sabrina's on a travel soccer team. And then within the travel soccer team, there is a hierarchy, right? Remember you're saying like the hierarchy of
Yeah.
friends, but there is a true hierarchy because it's by the skills of the girls that play soccer.
Mhm.
So she's moved up and she's moved down, and it has moved up recently to this higher level of, but what happens is that they all practice with their own team, but they have what Sabrina says is a skills on a certain day where everybody can go practice their skills. And dad had signed you up for the skills, and she came down the stairs after I was just feeling like, why we're having this show is that I get to give her these life coaching tips. I get to give her like here's the biology of your nervous system, and you get to learn to forgive because you're having these reactions for a reason. So just become aware of it. But here's the problem. It wasn't, I don't really want to call it a problem. Here's the situation. Here's what you get to experience. She came down, her eyes were watering. She had a blanket covering her, right? Yes. And I was looking at her and what were you doing?
I was shaking my head now.
She was shaking. She did not want to go to this practice. She did not want to go. And in my mind, I'm like looking at her like, girl, like step up, level up, like use your determination. But when you're in this state, this is really what I wanted to share. When you're in that state that you're activated, like you are shut down, you're experiencing what you experience as like anxiety at this level, there was no option for you, right? You did not want to
Mm.
go.
Yeah.
What were you experiencing in your body?
It was like everything was boiling at the top. I was like, I don't know,
What were you fearful of? What were you anxious of?
being around people that were better than me and not having a friend.
Not having a friend, right?
Yeah.
Because there was nobody from your team
Mhm.
going. Now, do you know people from the other team going?
No, not from the higher team. Or like I'm not good friends with them.
So what are you like? I'm just curious. Like, what are you fearful of?
I'm talking about me.
And so, what do you think they say?
I don't know that she's not good enough.
That she's not good enough. So, I have to share with you. Do you remember? So, Serena's a middle child, and I remember when our oldest was playing soccer, recreational soccer. And I kind of remember, I mean, forgive me, Noah. I remember it not being a natural gift of his young. He's hold on, let me just say, no, you're so good at it now. But like when he started it younger at 5, like I just remember him just like wanting to play house in the goalie. And I just remember thinking that, yeah, you can cultivate it, but there wasn't a natural like gift with him. And then I remember Sabrina in a summer camp. I think you were like 3, Sabrina. And you had that ball and you were do you remember this? You were so determined. It was so natural. It was just you and the ball and you weren't even looking at it. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. This is so good. And then you played ruck in kindergarten. Remember? You and Josie, you guys were so good. You guys were so good. Like we had like the best team. You were just so naturally determined and you had the goal. And then you went to travels, right? You practiced, you tried out for travel.
Mhm.
And do you know what I'm going to say?
I didn't want to go to tryout.
No,
What?
no, you did. But there was something about you already that you were holding back in a way.
Mhm.
Because what?
I was nervous.
And
Stressed.
and because of what? Because of what?
I'm not sure.
Well, I'm just going to say what I'm going to share with you is that you were fearful because you saw other people be really good, right? Is that
Yeah.
and that scared you, right?
Mhm.
So do you think I could say that there's something about you that you feel inferior to other people when they
Yeah.
yeah. And so this team, because they're on a higher team than you, you've already labeled yourself as not as good.
Mhm.
And that's what's creating this anxiety of showing up and not being there. And I can understand that. And What would you want to happen?
For my friends to go with me
For what? For what reason?
as far as someone to talk to.
You want somebody to talk to you?
Yeah.
Would you ever just want to go by yourself?
No,
No.
no, that stresses me out.
You guys have to watch the YouTube because this is actually it right here. This is like anxiety showing up. These are things that our body is showing up. And you're laughing and I get it. And in my mind, I feel like I just want to say to you, but this is how you teach yourself to get better. And it doesn't matter if you're not the red team or that higher team. I mean, I know it might matter to you, but what matters is that you show up for yourself. Because if you show up for yourself and you get better, is there a perspective? We talked about perspective
Mhm.
that you are actually helping the team that you're on now.
Mm,
Could that be a cool perspective? Right?
maybe.
Right? Right? Just to be able to, this is why we're having this show here, is to we hold ourselves accountable. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but what you said and what we learned that you're learning in English is there was a different perspective. Okay. So, one, you don't know if those girls are talking about you. I mean, I do think that girls can be mean. Let's just be real. And we also, when we know that we're not innocent either. We know that we've come up in situations where we probably don't say nice things, right? So these are always again where we say there's a learning opportunity, right? There's a
Mhm.
learning opportunity in all this, right? So one, what do I do that I talk about people so that way I know that people do talk about people because I'm talking about somebody. So somebody might be talking about me. Okay, I get that, right? And how can we just change the perspective? Because we can't control anybody else. If they're going to talk about you, they're going to talk about you. But how can I show up for this? Because I know the reason behind this is skills. I can show this, I can show up and your body's already started to calm down a little bit. I just wanted to just to really share that with you, right? Because you're seeing a different perspective. One advice here that I'm going to give here before we go back to the very beginning here, when I say you want the stress in your life, one, you got to zoom out, right? And you zoom out one by just noticing, already, just even naming it. It happened. You're anxious. You're fearful. You were in a little bit of shutdown because guess what? Did you go?
No.
She didn't go, you guys. She didn't go, which is why I wanted to bring this on for this next episode. She didn't go. And really bring into practice what we talked about, have the awareness and have the forgiveness, really have that forgiveness piece because yes, you can't help it. You can't help it. You were, I mean, her eyes, like she was like, you were kind of like laughing like this, but like your tears were, you were distressed. Let's just say
Mhm.
that. Okay. You were distressed. Like, I don't even want to say the word anxious because that becomes, it was like a generalized anxiety. But
Mhm.
when we talk about anxiety, it's a medical term. It's a mental health term that you have to go through a lot of these different symptoms. And yes, you've exhibited it, but you have to have so many of it that where, okay, now we can say you are diagnosed with it. But it's very natural that we experience these different symptoms of anxiety. So, yes, you're experiencing, like this rumination, people are talking to you. You're experiencing probably heart palpitations. You're feeling like you're saying your body was like shutting down and collapsing around you. Your whole body, Sabrina, your shoulders were closed in. You had that blanket around you, like you wanted to hide. And and she was not gonna go, you guys. Like she like really was not gonna go.
You would have had to
And
drag me out of my room.
And that wouldn't have felt good either, and I did say, "I'll go with you, and I'll take you out." They talk, and you're like, "That's not gonna help either because you need to stay."
Mm.
So I understand that. So, zoom out, right? Notice, be aware that you're having the symptom, you know that you have it, zoom out, and I'm just gonna say this to you again. These are these moments that you have to learn just to show up for yourself. So, what I have learned in what's called this land of polyvagal theory practicing, like the science of our nervous system, is that one, yes, you're gonna have it again one day when I try to tell you to go again. Is really just put your hand on your heart or put your hand on your body and just say, first of all, okay, you're not in those situations in the past where you've been social bullied, right? You're not there. You're not there anymore. You're in the present moment, right? And maybe you just put your hands on your heart and you're just saying, like, and I know it sounds super like, kind of weird to be like, Sabrina, I'm okay. Like, Sabrina, and then Sabrina, I promise you, you don't have to do it in front of anybody, but it's just like you're just putting your hand over your heart because you know that you're feeling. I did this today. I do this before breath work when I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be good enough. I don't know if I'm going to be able to deliver a good breath practice. I mean, I've done that for anesthesia for so long, where I'm like, I don't know if this patient is going to think I'm competent enough. We all go through like this not enoughness, right? But if we really just learn to, it's called the tune. You attune to your body. You are feeling these symptoms of anxiety. You are not an anxious person, but I'm feeling these natural symptoms that are causing me anxious. I've had these, but I got moved up this year in soccer, right? I mean, that coach wanted you. That coach wanted you, right? And I'm okay. And I have room to be better. People are above me, but that means you have room to be better, right? And just start to say these things that I can be stable. The house isn't falling on you or around you. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, you felt closed off. Like nothing's collapsing on you. You're solid. You're stable. You're safe. You're safe to go to practice. You're safe to go to practice. And I'm laughing at you. I mean, it's not funny, but there's a way to approach it in a way that you can. It feels like you can zoom out, so you can start to approach this these symptoms of anxiety that you have because you're just shutting yourself off, remember, from that genius, that capacity to be able to grow, to grow in your skills, to get into college with a scholarship. I but no, to show up for your team now, right? To show up for your team now and this team that that you moved up to. And I think that's super awesome. So that's what I wanted to share with you, right? So just really start to take those practices again that we talked about earlier. Be aware, remember that vision of this beautiful, you said, what does a successful school year look like? And it's you play soccer. And I don't think not playing soccer not well or not getting better is part of that vision. It's just, right. It's not. So it was how that wasn't useful, right? To not do something that could
Mhm.
help it. That didn't help that vision. Remember what I said?
Mhm.
Ever so always having that vision so that we become aware of these things that you're experiencing that's not helping it. So then you just start to notice it. So you forgive yourself for having your body's just doing what your body wants to do. It's trying to keep you safe. We have that old brain of ours that's we need, but it doesn't really help us in the moment sometimes meet that vision, right? So we become aware of it, we forgive it, and then we really start to attune to these emotions that we have. And so just using you already started to change your perspective. Like where when we stretched it, you were going to be like, oh, I'm going to be helping my team because I'm going to the skills at that moment. But later, so maybe it's not in the moment. What's so powerful about it is that even if you didn't go, obviously, but you returned back to a normal state, right? And so you
Mhm.
know that your body can do that. And you know that your body can do that when you go on Monday and you're going to be scared, even if nobody goes. But well, let's just say, okay, let's name it. You might be scared, but you know your body will probably be experiencing that. But you also know your body will come back to a normal state where you can have a wider perspective. And that's why I wanted to say is you want the stress in your life. Moms, you want the stress in your life. Daughters, you want the stress in your life because what Hans Selye was saying is when our body is preparing ourselves for a new event, stress, right? What we've done now in modern times is that we've used the word stress and we've made it seem negative. But when we use things that are trying to move, like there's something that's changing in our life, everything's always fluctuating, right? We want things to move, but we use it, we transform stress and we make it meaningful and we make it significant. We make it meaningful and we make it significant. So we want the stress in our life, moms. We want the stress in our life, daughters, if we want a meaningful and significant life. Yeah. How is that?
It was good.
So how do you bring meaning? You're going to bring meaning and significance, one, to what you're experiencing, but also to your team. You're bringing more meaning and significance to your team by showing up for yourselves. Yeah. Woo! All right. And so the last thing I want to do, Serena, do you want to share anything? Like, because I talk too much and everybody, this is a mom and daughter show.
I pulled out a Bible quote about anxiety, and it's 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of a sound mind.
Say that again.
For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of a sound mind.
That's beautiful. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of a sound mind. I didn't even know she was bringing this on. I did ask her because what we had shared is that this is one of these prayer is for Sabrina something that gives her stability, right? And when you can have these, whatever it looks like for you, when you can have these practices that start to settle the mind, that start to settle those symptoms of anxiety, this is super powerful. This is super powerful because you get to take the stress and create meaning and significance. And you just did. So now you're going to remember when you don't want to go next Monday. Now I'm going to say to you, for God has not given you a spirit of fear, but a power and a sound mind. Beautiful. Thank you so much to everybody. We are going to have
My friend
and the
and
mom
mom.
on the next episode. And we are going to be, I don't want to say strategic, but it's going to be very relevant. Sabrina doesn't know yet, very relevant, and to be able to be supportive of what we were trying to do here is to create more meaning and significance of your life. Thank you so much, and we'll see you
Next time.
next week.